Hello, everyone. Today we are doing a Q&A, and I literally have them popping up on my Instagram as we speak. I often will put up a question box. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should if you want your questions answered because about once a month, I'd say, maybe every other month, I do one of these Q&As. And I do a Q&A every Thursday. I ask the questions or I ask you guys for questions on Mondays, and then on Thursdays I answer the questions, but sometimes I put up these boxes and say this is specifically uh for podcast. And so that's what we're doing. The first 10 of these that get submitted, I will answer. I already have 5, so we'll see. Okay. The first question someone wants to know is Effexor the best medication for dizziness? First of all, I want to say that Effexor is a great med for some people and it's terrible for other people. And there is no way that you're going to know if it's good for you or bad for you in particular until you try it. So if this is a med that your doctor has prescribed to you, you can pretty safely be like, okay, this might be the med that's best for me because my doctor took what's going on with me into account before he or she prescribed it, right? So we want to, if you trust your doctor, if you trust your headache specialist, especially, then yes, this could be a good med for you. But you want to remind yourself, what is the dizziness? Because this is not a dizziness medication, right? It's a medication that is meant for people with specific diagnoses. I have seen this prescribed for a bunch of different people. I have seen it prescribed for triple PD and I've seen it prescribed for vestibular migraine. But if you have vestibular neuritis that's making you dizzy, then this would not be a good option. If you have Meniere's disease that is making you dizzy, then this might not be a good option. Not because it would be bad, but because it wouldn't be the medication that treats that disorder. So it doesn't treat dizziness, it treats the disorders that's causing dizziness, specifically vestibular migraine and triple PD. And we want to remember that medical management is an important part, of course, of treating vestibular disorders, but it's not the only piece. You need medical management and you also need comprehensive management overall. So that means you need medical and non medical management. Effexor is an SNRI. It can be effective for triple PD. It can be effective for vestibular migraine, but I like to say this, it's never just one thing. It's never going to be just the Effexor that helps you with vestibular migraine. It's never going to be just the Effexor that helps with triple PD. And that's something that's important to remember when you're thinking about medication. Efficacy of medication is 50%. So if this is 50% effective for you, then it means it's effective. But that what are we gonna do with the other 50%? That's the other 50% of things that we need to consider is going to be things like exercising every day and breathing and meditation and grounding and all the other things that I talk nonstop about on this podcast, on Instagram, on my blog, like all the other stuff. So consider both of those when you're thinking about what you're gonna be doing to manage your dizziness. And one more thing to remember is that there is not one best medication. And within the classes of medications, there's not one best either. So, like, Effexor isn't the best because it works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. And you're not going to know until you try. And also, that SNRI, if it doesn't work for you, might not be the same as another SNRI that might work for you. So, you want to be privy to that as well and be like, just because this one doesn't necessarily work for me doesn't mean the other SNRIs or SSRIs or TCAs won't work for you. So that is something to remember as well. Okay, best sleeping position for neck pain. This is another one of those questions like, which one's the best? There is no best. Think about it this way. Sustained positioning for a really long time in like a funky position that isn't comfortable for you could cause some muscle stiffness and things like that. But it's not permanent, right? Your body is designed to move. So move your neck around, move your shoulders around in the morning. And we've all woken up with a crick in our neck. It happens to everyone. It's normal. It's a normal part of being a human being. And sometimes we forget that being a human being means that like our muscles get sore and things get funky and sometimes our neck hurts a little bit and things like that. But we don't want to just willy-nilly change everything about our sleeping position. There's no such thing as a bad sleeping position. People are like, don't sleep on your stomach or don't do that thing where you like fold your legs into like a four position and then like sleep halfway on your stomach. I personally sleep like that and I never have neck pain. So there is a lot to be said for sleeping position. There's not like a bad position. Your back is meant to move. Your spine is designed to twist. So there's not a bad or good position. That being said, if you find that like every single morning you wake up and your neck hurts, maybe consider the way you're sleeping. But also, don't wake yourself up in the middle of the night because you might be sleeping in a funky position. That is not going to be helpful long term. What is the way that you are most comfortable sleeping? Sometimes you need to make sure your neck is supported. So, if you can see me on YouTube, if you are asleep on your side, I also like to sleep on my side, and your neck is kinda like this, and you wake up and every morning you are like, "God, my neck kinda hurts." Okay, maybe you need a different pillow because maybe you need something more supportive. Is there a best pillow? That's another question I get all the time. Absolutely not. But there's also not a worst pillow. I had some friends stay at my house the other day, and my husband and I were talking to them, and my friend, she was like, "I love a flat pillow," and her boyfriend was like, "Oh my god, I literally think you're insane. I want, like, the firmest pillow that exists." And that just goes to show, like, between 2 people, you're never gonna be the same. Like, some people love I have a friend who is obsessed with the pillows at the Marriott. She travels a lot for work, and she's like, "Marriott pillows, those are my favorite thing, like, I'm gonna order them online." I went to a Marriott the other day, I hate their pillows. So, there's not gonna be a best or worst pillow. It's literally just what helps you feel comfortable at night. And I know sometimes that takes, like, buying a bunch of pillows before you decide which one is best for you. But that might be just what it takes. Some people really like the cervical support pillows. I personally hate those. Some people love memory foam pillows. I also hate those. Not because they're bad, just because I personally, me, Dr. Madison, think that they're uncomfortable. But my husband loves both of those things. And like we sleep in the same bed every night and we have two separate forms of pillows. So you really are just going to have to decide which one you like and do not like, because that is going to be completely between you and your body. So, best sleeping position for your neck, there is none, whatever is comfortable. And then in the morning, if you are having neck pain, sit on the edge of your bed, really roll out your shoulders, stretch the side of your neck, roll it around. Remind yourself your neck is designed to move. It is supposed to be moving. It is normal for your neck and your shoulders and your head to move around. Okay, best protocol for brain fog, especially in the morning. Okay, so brain fog comes from a lot of places. So, first of all, we want to make sure it's not a side effect of your medication. And then you have to weigh the pros and cons of like, is it worth it for me to take this medication, have some brain fog, or is the brain fog worse than the symptoms I was having pre medication? And that's a conversation that I cannot have for you. That's a conversation that you have to determine for yourself. That being said, the best thing for the best thing for brain fog is not just one thing. The things that I would recommend you doing first thing in the morning is exercising, making sure you're eating 20 to 30 grams of protein, having, if you are a person who drinks caffeine, have it first thing in the morning, but with food, do not, I repeat, do not have coffee on an empty stomach. Don't have caffeinated tea on an empty stomach. That is a recipe for blood sugar disaster. So, 20 to 30 grams of protein. 3 eggs is only 18 grams of protein, so that is not enough. At least probably 4 eggs, and they've done research on eggs, cholesterol from eggs, probably not an issue. Okay. That being said, find some foods. We have, resources on high protein breakfast in vestibular group fit. If you wanna drink it in protein shake form, that is 100% fine. That's how I get my lots of protein in the morning, but yogurt's a great option. Whatever you wanna have, truly. It does not matter to me how you're getting this protein, you just have to get it. That will really help with brain fog because brain fog and protein are linked. Okay, exercise. I already said this, but strength training or going for a walk first thing in the morning, that's really gonna set you up for success as well. This is because exercise is one thing that helps reduce brain fog. There is research to prove this. Just Google exercise, brain fog. And it's like the best thing you could do for brain fog is exercise. So if you're having it first thing in the morning, do it first thing in the morning. Right when you get up, try some stretching, some breathing, some grounding, just kind of something to center yourself. And then hydrate with an electrolyte. So my favorite electrolytes are Promix, Element, which is LMNT, Buoy, which is an unflavored version, which I really like, and the sugar-free Liquid IV. And then I'm also in the middle of trying the one from Just Ingredients. Your brain needs salt. And I know a lot of people are like, I'm going low salt for my blood pressure. If your doctor has specifically told you you cannot have more than 1,000 milligrams of salt a day for whatever reason, then of course listen to your doctor's advice. But most people will do okay with electrolytes. So making sure that you're getting enough electrolytes throughout your day. Coconut water is a great option as well if you want something that's just like natural out of the bottle, 100% coconut. 100% coconut water. Make sure there's no other ingredients in there. And then the other ones are, of course, supplements. So omega 3s, magnesium threonate, and creatine. Now, those are ones that people are like, that's a weird suggestion. But omega 3s are fish oil. It is fats, it's for your brain. Most people are omega 3 deficient because most of us are not eating enough salmon or other fatty fish. And also, even if you are, a lot of it is not nutrient dense enough, is what I'm told. So, 2 milligrams per day of omega 3s. Please talk to your doctor before you take that. Between 2 and 5 grams of creatine a day has been shown to help boost the mitochondria in your brain, which you know is the powerhouse of the cell, which will therefore help you with brain fog. And then the last one I said was magnesium threonate. Magnesium threonate is the only type of magnesium that crosses the blood brain barrier. And so that can be super, super helpful for making sure that you're getting enough energy to your brain and things like that. Okay, next one. Is there anything that quickly relieves tinnitus, or do we just have to wait it out? Tinnitus, tinnitus, however you want to say it, doesn't matter. It is the same thing. That is the incorrect sound that you're hearing in your ears. On a personal note, I have had chronic tinnitus as long as I can remember, probably since I was younger than 10, like literally my entire life. And everyone asks me, how do you deal with that? And I treat it as my best friend. My tinnitus is my friend. There's no quick fix for tinnitus. It is a side effect of vestibular disorders, especially vestibular migraine and Meniere's disease. If you are having pulsating tinnitus, I have this, definitely get it checked out by your ENT. I have both ringing and pulsatile tinnitus. My ENT says there's nothing wrong with my ears. I'm just hearing things. That's fine. Um, Increased stress, dehydration, too much salt, and caffeine can all make tinnitus worse. So do like a little evaluate self eval on that, like how are my stress levels? And this is where I start to treat it like my best friend. If I am extra stressed, my tinnitus gets way worse. So what do? I use stress reduction techniques. I journal, I meditate, I breathe, I take breaks, I don't work as much. All of these things will help reduce my stress. When I also know that this happens when I'm dehydrated, so making sure I'm getting enough water. Making sure I'm having electrolytes, but not too many because too much sodium, also problematic. But remember that fluid in your inner ears, in your vestibular system, is also the fluid in your cochlea, which is your hearing organ. And so you do need to take that into account and make sure that those are balanced because the balance is between the two is super, 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 super important. There is potassium on one side and sodium on the other side. So definitely make sure that you're taking that into account when you're thinking about how much stuff is going into your body, into your system, right? Your body is a temple. Think about it that way. Don't put a bunch of junk in there. Try to avoid processed foods, things like that. Leg weakness. Is this related to my vestibular disorder, jelly legs, feeling of dizzy brain, and headache? So, your vestibular disorder likely does have something to do with headache and feeling of your dizzy brain. 100% those things can be related, especially if you have vestibular migraine, if you have triple PD. Triple PD will not cause headache, but vestibular migraine can for some people. Um, so definitely thinking about it that way. The leg weakness is something that I hear a lot about. Not everyone has leg weakness, but I hear a lot of people who say they do. And the most common reason that I see this happen is because people stop exercising. They're like, I used to exercise and kind of like take the stairs and blah, blah, blah. And now I am no longer taking the stairs. I don't go to work. I sit on the couch a lot or stay in bed. And this is not your fault. Being dizzy is super uncomfortable. But strength training and exercising is actually something that is ultimately preventative of your vestibular disorder. So making sure you're exercising, which is what we do in vestibular group fit, I will make sure that you have all of the resources necessary in order to return to exercising again. Someone who was barely leaving the house just swam for 45 minutes the other day, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I know for a fact that you can get there. It's going to take persistence and intention and scaling and all of those things. But we have classes for Tai Chi, Pilates, yoga, strength, cardio, ballet, ballroom, beginner, supine, chair workouts, like literally everything you could ask for is in vestibular group fit. You can join at the link in the show notes as well. Of course, use the code grounded for 15% off your first subscription. Seriously, it is by and large the most common reason for the leg weakness is literally the atrophy of your legs from not doing as much. So, scaling to get yourself back there going to be really important. The other reason I see this is nervous system dysregulation. So for some people with a vestibular disorder, especially if you have vestibular migraine, your autonomic, aka your automatic nervous system, is not working the right way. And this means that you could have your nervous system also in your legs kind of dysfunctioning and being a little bit funky. So consider that when you are thinking about, like, hey, is this problematic because I'm not moving enough, because I have autonomic dysfunction, because of both? And electrolytes can also be a part of that. Not enough magnesium, calcium, sodium, all of those things can also play a role in weakness of your muscles. All right, next question. Is vestibular group fit available in the UK? Yes. Vestibular group fit is an international group program intended for everyone. My whole entire goal with vestibular group fit when I first started it was to make sure everyone in the world had access to some form of vestibular resources, therapy, and exercises. Now, vestibular group fit mainly is intended for people with vestibular migraine, but I have seen people with neuritis, Meniere's disease, I should say vestibular migraine and triple PD, but like every single diagnosis is addressed in vestibular group fit. I will say we don't address superior canal dehiscence because the gold standard of SCDS is the surgery. And if you need surgery, I recommend Johns Hopkins. But yes, in general, vestibular group fit is great for most of, if not all, vestibular diagnoses. And yes, it is available in the UK. People get worried about the live classes. So lives are Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday also at 10 a.m. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday have two classes in the morning, and Mondays and Fridays have one class in the morning. And because of this, we want to consider the time in the UK, and I believe that's sometime in the afternoon, like around 1 or 2 p.m. is the time in the afternoon. That being said, all classes are recorded always, and so you can, reference them and locate them in the group, either on Facebook or in your portal at any time you want. I believe we counted the other day and there's over 900 classes at this point, and I'm recording this in February. So there are hundreds of classes of all levels, of all types of exercise, different things that you can access all the time in vestibular group fit. And although workout is a big part of VG Fit, it is not the only part. So there's mindset, there's critical thinking, there's self-compassion, there's somatic therapy, there's EFT tapping, like all the things that you would need for movement, mindset, support, and education with your vestibular disorder is in there for every single diagnosis. Again, we don't really address superior canal dehiscence because surgery is needed for that typically. Not always, but typically. Um, so yes, it's available in the UK. Oh, and then for the live classes that are like coaching calls, which are also important, people love those. We also want to address that. So one of the coaching calls per month is at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and the other one is at noon Eastern time. And the reason we have these two different times is that so everyone can access it in the evening as needed, and it's accessible You in the UK are typically, I think, 6 hours ahead of the United States on Eastern time, which means that it'll be 6 p.m. for you when it's noon Eastern for us. Okay, does vestibular migraine cause neck pain, and does neck pain cause vestibular migraine? Such a great question. Neck pain is a symptom of vestibular migraine. It's also a symptom of not moving your head enough. It's also a symptom of weak neck muscles. So, this is a two-way street. The cause of vestibular migraine is a genetic predisposition to migraine disorder, which causes symptoms. So, consider that first. It will trigger a migraine attack, and then you have the attack, but you live with migraine all the time. This is a bigger discussion for another time. But as far as neck pain goes, the main nerve that we think is involved with migraine is your trigeminal nerve. You can Google a picture of that. It goes on your face right here if you're watching on YouTube. And the trigeminal nerve is important. It's a cranial nerve. It does a bunch of stuff in your face. Basically, what we can think about that is it then connects in the trigeminal cervical complex, aka where your trigeminal nerve meets your cervical spine, which is where your neck is, and it gets kind of heightened in activity, it gets excited, and that can trigger neck pain. Now, that is neck pain as a direct result of migraine. When you have vestibular migraine, you are dizzy. When you are dizzy, you don't want to move your head. Your head is meant to move. We want to move our head on a normal axis. That's normal. That's comfortable for us. But when we stop moving our head, that's when we get issues. And the issue is that our neck forgets how to move. Our muscles forget what movement feels like. And that will tighten our neck. And that will make it so we don't want to move as much, which will then cause neck pain ultimately. So that's another reason. Lastly, if we don't move our neck for so long, or we kind of have that like tech neck, kind of like hunched forward, head forward position, this will weaken and lengthen some muscles and make smaller, weaker core of our neck muscles. And what that means is you have a core of your core as well as a core of your neck. Because of this core of your neck, they're called your deep cervical neck flexors. They need to be strong because they are your endurance muscles. The ones on the outside that you can like see, touch, feel of your neck, those are supposed to be your big movers. They're not supposed to be used for endurance. There is an endurance muscle in your calf. It's called your soleus, and then your big mover is your gastrocnemius. You have in your core your transverse abdominis, big mover, but you have your deep or the big mover. Let me start that over about your abs. The big mover of your abs is your rectus abdominis, your six-pack muscles, and your small endurance muscles are your transverse abdominis. Now, all parts of the body have this. It's an important thing to remember that our neck works exactly the same. So, what does that actually mean? That actually means that we need to strengthen our deep cervical neck flexors, which is what chin tucks are for and things like that. And the 6-week neck strengthening protocol in vestibular group fit starts with just barely being able to move your neck in a chin tuck. This is for this exact reason. Our brain, our body, our neck needs to understand that our endurance muscles are strong so we can hold our neck up all day and use our big trapezius muscles and our sternocleidomastoid for the big movements of our head so we can allow that to actually happen. Super, super important. All right, which supplements do I take? I will do an entire podcast on this, but the overview of supplements, this is important to remember. The overview of supplements are going to be needed to discuss with your doctor. Please do not just go take these willy-nilly. Please, please talk to your doctor. This is never medical advice. Supplements can be right for you and supplements can be wrong for you. So make sure you're talking to your provider. The big ones are magnesium, CoQ10, and B2, aka riboflavin. Magnesium, 400 to 800 milligrams a day, B2 around 400, and CoQ10 around 300. Again, talking to your doctor before you go and start taking these. Next is vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency can be a big problem. Vitamin D is a hormone. It is not necessarily a vitamin or a supplement. And so not having accurate levels of vitamin D in your body or even optimal levels of vitamin D in your body is problematic. And pretty much every single one of us needs to supplement with vitamin D because you are a human being who probably, hopefully, wears sunscreen. Please be wearing sunscreen. It is so bad not to. You are not tougher than the sun. You need to be wearing sunscreen, and vitamin D doesn't get into our body. Plus, we need to like be naked outside for like a couple hours a day to get enough vitamin D. So just take it in a supplement form. It's not a bad thing. Of course, get your blood levels checked. And then turmeric and ginger. There is a small study. It's like 40 people that can compared turmeric's levels of CGRP in your body for vestibular migraine or for migraine, and it actually showed that turmeric helped level out or decrease the amount of CGRP in a person's brain/body. So that can be helpful. It's also an excellent anti-inflammatory. We will have a conversation about inflammation at some point. It is something that I am studying more to be able to tell you about. Ginger is next. This is a great anti-inflammatory. It can cause blood thinning, so do be aware of that as well. We don't want you to have too thin of blood, so talk to your doctor before taking this as well. Creatine. I mentioned creatine a little bit before, but it helps the powerhouse of your cells. It helps your cells make more energy. And so if you're feeling a lot of fatigue, if you're feeling like exercise is really way too difficult, if you're feeling a lot of brain fog, creatine can be your friend. Omega 3s, there's research to show that increasing omega 3s without necessarily decreasing the amount of omega 6, and that's pretty cool. You don't have to change your diet, you just need to increase omega 3s, reduced the migraine frequency and intensity in most people. And then melatonin. Melatonin is one that I'm kind of iffy about. They do have research to show that melatonin is effective and helpful in migraine, but melatonin is an endogenous hormone. That means your body makes melatonin on a specific rhythm. So if you are taking melatonin, your body stops making it so much or at all. And that means that if your body stops making it, you will need to continue to take it. So it just makes it a little bit difficult. I am not the hugest fan of this. I would rather use other things to help people sleep, but um yeah, melatonin, if it's like the only thing that helps you with migraine, great. If it's kind of helpful but like not the most helpful, then maybe it's a conversation to have with your doctor about like maybe I don't take this one. Next one. Top tips for sleep. All right, this is our last one. I think this is 10. I'm not a very good counter, but I think this is 10. Top tips for sleep. Number 1 is get 10 minutes of sunlight first thing in the morning. I am so serious about this. I personally wake up before the sun, so I have a blue light that helps me wake up in the morning. I have it in my bathroom when I'm like getting ready, brushing my teeth, washing my face, whatever. And then my husband steals it and puts it in his office during the day because there's not enough light in that room. So it really is like a happy light. I got it on Amazon. Just type in like blue light, Lux light. I'll make a note. I'll try to link one in the show notes. All right. Blue light. Well, I'm putting it in the show notes. You could do that first thing in the morning for about 10 minutes. Please do not stare at the sun and please do not stare at the blue light. It needs to get into your eyes, but you do not need to stare at it. One of the vestibular group members, she's like, I stared at it, but I could only stare at it for 3 seconds. This I was not clear when I explained it to her. Do not stare at the light. Seriously. Just needs to be like on around you. Next thing, is making sure you are going to sleep and waking up at the same exact time every day. I sleep every day from 8:39 to 5 a.m. every single day. At first, getting up at 5 a.m. totally sucked. And now I'm like, I feel fantastic because I go to bed at 8:30 or 9. If you have children, this is a different story. And I know that I don't have kids yet. So there's something to say about that. But yeah, try to go to sleep at the same time every single day. And then honestly, if you're waking up in the middle of the night, which a lot of people with migraine are, consider your blood sugar fluctuating in the middle of the night. So someone emailed me the other day, like, hey, I'm waking up at like 3 in the morning. I don't know what to do. Inositol helps you balance your blood sugar as well as a snack. So the woman who emailed me, I was like, try a snack with like a protein and a fat, like right before you go to bed. She has slept through the night every night since then. She has peanut butter and a banana right before bed. like half a banana and a small scoop of peanut butter, sleeps through the night. So, blood sugar, really a huge deal during the day as well as when you are asleep. All right, that is all 10 questions. Thank you so much for joining me for this. This was fun. I'll do it again. See ya.